Welcome to the Real Women, Real Business podcast, where we believe you don't have to choose between doing what you love and building something truly successful. Each episode, we cut through the noise to show you exactly where your energy should go, how to eliminate what's keeping you stuck, and most importantly, how to tell the difference between what's actually making you money and what's just keeping you busy. Around here, we're all about helping you to work smarter, build stronger, and dream bigger. You've already built something amazing, but if it feels like you're stuck in a cycle of back to back calls, half finished launches, and late nights just trying to catch up, you're not alone. Most women start their businesses with passion and drive, but somewhere along the way, they start settling for good enough. They want more, but worry it will cost them too much. And let's be honest, we spend so much time thinking about how to help others, we start feeling guilty for wanting to build real wealth or prioritize our own goals. That's exactly why I created the Real Women, Real Business Mastery Program to help ambitious women like you stop settling for just enough and start building a business that's truly aligned, where passion, profits, and progress work together, because making more doesn't mean sacrificing more. It means building smarter with the right support and the right strategies. If you're ready for sustainable success in a business you actually love running, book your free coaching assessment at aboutShaunaLynn.com/coachmate. Let's explore what's possible together. Hello and welcome to the Real Women, Real Business podcast. I am your host, Shauna Lynn Simon, and today's guest is Jane Harris. She's the co-founder of the Virgin Hair Fantasy, which is a luxury wig and beauty brand, and she is helping women reclaim confidence through hair and self-expression. Now, Jane started her business with just $500, and she grew it into a multi-million-dollar global company. And this was all while being a homeschooling mom, a mentor, and a speaker. She has taught and mentored hundreds of students through her wig and beauty business trainings, and she's passionate about helping women feel empowered, not just out in how they look, but in how they show up in their lives. And so we're going to be talking about what it really takes to scale a product-based business. We're going to talk a little bit about the confidence side of beauty and, of course, some of her practical tips on how to wear your wig better. She's got a challenge for us and everything. So, Jane, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. It's such an honor.
I can't wait to dig into your story a little bit because it's a pretty impressive story. Like, you didn't just build a wig brand, you built a confidence brand, and you did it on literally like a shoestring kind of budget here. So let's go back. So when you started the business, you mentioned you started this with $500.
Yes.
What did it look like? Where was that $500 being spent? How were you, and what did you sell first? Like, did you start off with wigs or did you start off with something that's not a wig? Like, how many big wigs can you even buy for $500?
Exactly. That's a really good question. First of all, I want to say I love your hair. I cannot not appreciate the hair. You know, I'm in the business. Your hair, I can tell you pay attention. Okay, I can see it.
And I will tell you this, actually, small sidebar, but I've been dyeing my hair pink since before it was cool, I like to say. So I started doing this in 2007, so almost 20 years ago now. And I had a very brief period where I thought I needed to look more professional. And so I took the pink out of my hair, and that lasted maybe a month. I did not feel like myself. I felt like an imposter. And so of course, I went, put the pink back in my hair. And I will say that my hair literally does give me my confidence on a regular basis. So I fully respect your whole brand. I think that's probably why I think I resonate so well with like your whole messaging, because I'm like, I get what, I can't imagine what it would, how it would impact me to not be able to express myself in the way that I do in a natural way. So I'd love to have an alternative. So anyway, that was got a little bit off topic there.
No, right on topic. I mean, you sure. Literally, you are the product of what this is all about. You are the end result of what this is all about. And I love that you shared that. And it shows. That was the first thing I noticed when I came on camera. I'm like, oh, I love her hair, even before you spoke. So this is just fantastic. For me, it was a cry for help. I was working on Madison Avenue at a shoe store, and my clients were just beautiful, wealthy women. And I remember I would, go and shop in the sale racks just to kind of, keep up with, to look professional because I was on commission. I was like, oh, I want them to look like, I want to look good so they can shop with me. That was part of the sales process,
Of
right?
course.
The one thing that didn't quite add up was my hair. And I didn't know that until I started fixing everything else. I got better shoes. I got a better suit. I read more books. So I spoke better. So all of these things I started doing. And then it got to the hair bit of it. I was like, oh, it's the hair. Right. And my hair, I just didn't feel confident. And I went to go look for a wig. And I remember going around the corner from my job on Madison Avenue. The wigs were, I couldn't afford them. And I was like, how hard can it be to make a wig? So I went on YouTube and I literally binge watched tutorials and I made my first wig. But the problem was I didn't know the impact it had on me until I started wearing it to work. My sales literally doubled within maybe 3 months. And my wig wasn't even the best wig. Like it was just like a DIY project situation. And it still
Right.
gave me more confidence than my natural hair. So I was like, wait a minute, I mean, I was so puzzled by it because commission was my jam. And I'm like, wait, so you're going to make me more money. Of course, we're going to do a deep dive. Like, how can we get more of that? So I started
Right.
really obsessing about hair. And when I was ready to start my business, I mean, I was making six figures in New York and I was still broke. I didn't even have the money to start the business. So at the time I had a boyfriend and who's now my husband of 16 years. At the time I was like,
Amazing.
hey, I know we just kind of met, but I kind of need $500 to get a few samples to test this thing out. He was like, so did you go to hair school? I was like, no, but I think I can do really good at it. I just feel like more, I was so confident that I could do it because
Love
I knew
that.
what it did for me. I'm like, I just need to share my story and we'll be fine. So
And I think, sorry to interrupt you, but I think you're touching on something that I think is really important that so many entrepreneurs run into with this. Like, if I can just show people what this does, and it's such a challenge though, because to sell something, someone has to believe in it. In order to believe in it, sometimes they got to like experience it, but in order to experience it, they got to pay you. And it's just a cycle sometimes that we're like, but if you just tried it, and of course, once they've tried it, they're raving fans, but how do we get them to become a raving fan before they've even tried it? So I mean, like, just exactly what you're saying, like the fact that you're identifying, like, I know how they're going to feel because I know how I felt, but I know that's going to be a hurdle that you're going to be coming up against, I'm sure, as you're starting your business.
and you're so right. And for me, I think what really motivated me, because I had a lot of people around me that were like, this is ridiculous. Like, you have this job, you're making six figures, granted, you're broke every other paycheck, but you're still making six figures on paper. You have a decent job and, you get to travel once a year. Like, you're good. Like, you shouldn't be looking. I was like, no, I want to do this. And everyone told me that it was a bad idea. They're like, you didn't even go to hair school. You have no knowledge of hair. How is this going to work? I was so convinced about how confident the hair made me feel that I'm like, if I can just explain the feeling to another woman, I'll be fine. And I think for me, it wasn't about, I didn't know how much money I could make. I had no clue.
Right.
I hadn't even Googled the industry. I just knew how I felt and that it doubled my salary. I was like, this is what I need to do. I'm like, it can. And then at the time before, actually, I remember before I met my boyfriend at the time, my husband, I was still dealing with like my ex because I wasn't confident. I was tolerating nonsense from my ex. So when all of that stuff happened, I dumped him like a bad habit. And I moved forward with the man that I'm with now for we've been our anniversary 16 years is coming up in November. So I was like, wait, not only did this put more money in my pocket, it has changed me. Like I set boundaries now. So I think for me, I was so overwhelmed with how my life was changing just with one good hairstyle. I was like, this is too good to be quiet about. So
Amazing.
that
And I
was
think what
it.
I love about this though too is I think a lot of people associate wigs with have hair loss specifically, I
Yes.
think is one of the biggest things that we tend to associate wigs with. But I know that there are a lot of people who lean on wigs more because they've always had challenges with their hair, or as they've aged, their hair has changed in terms of not necessarily hair loss, but it's more, it's dull. It's not, they've gone to the hair salon, they've tried a million different things, and nothing is giving the life back to their hair that they had in their 20s. And for yourself, you're saying that like you had a full head of hair, right? Like it wasn't a hair loss situation, but you couldn't turn your hair into the hair that you wanted it to be. Like it's not like you can just magically be like, okay, now I'm gonna have this type of hair and just make it happen. I mean, like there are certain limitations to the type of hair that like we're born with what we're born with.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. That was my thing. And I felt I felt like hair allowed me to express my full self. Because the woman that I was then, I would have looked up to this woman that's sitting in front of you now. I would have looked at her like, oh my gosh, she's so bold. I want to be like her. I don't know where she was in the whole process, but I just know that being able to transition myself and look different, I can be blonde. Like the other day, I think this week I've been blonde, red, and burgundy, and it's only Tuesday. Now, I'm not joking. I have photos to prove it. Like I have been blonde, burgundy, and red, and now I'm dark. And it's
Right.
only Tuesday because that's how my personality is. So being
Yeah.
able to express myself is just priceless.
We actually had a guest on the show last year. Her name is Anastasia Hay, and her title is Fashion Empowerment Coach.
Oh,
And right, because she's not, and so she's essentially, to dumb it down, so to speak, it's more of a stylist. Like that's kind of her roots and her origin, but she incorporates, what does having the right style do for you? And she works with people to really identify who they really are, how they want to express themselves, what's really inside, and then turns that into their look and their vibe through more than just the fashion element of it. And I mean, there's just so much confidence to be found from how you look. And I think that we can downplay this all we want, but we're not trying to turn everyone into supermodels. You're not walking the runway. You're not, doing the fashion shows necessarily, but to be able to walk down the street and feel like the best version of yourself. It's, we often associate, well, I need to work out more, I need to lose weight. There are so many other things that contribute to how we feel on the inside, but a lot of it does come from the outside. So it's not necessarily about losing weight, but maybe your hairstyle is making you look plumper than you should, or it's not complementing the shape of your face properly. It's the clothes that you're wearing that are not really flattering for your particular style, or just simply doesn't express who you are. And I think there's so much out there of like, we should be all doing this and following influencers and celebrities and everything else. And I got to tell you, I don't remember the last time I took my style trends from someone else. I go inside on those things. How do I feel best? And I don't care what the world thinks about what I'm wearing and how I'm looking. But I think that that's something that is still a relatively new concept to so many people to
I
hear.
agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Totally. You well said. You're absolutely right. I think when I was as a young adult, I struggled with confidence. Even when I was 22 years old when I got that job. I was so excited. I was making more money than most of my friends. Everyone kept telling me how lucky I was. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm doing good. You know what I mean? I was doing okay with what I had to work with. I would always go into a room looking down. I never felt like I owned my place. I never felt like I stood up with my shoulders back, just like owned every room I walked in. I posted in my Insta story yesterday. I was at an international women's event on Sunday. I'm like, I walk into every room like I'm supposed to be there. That was my caption because that's how I feel now.
But
And
it's hard to believe, knowing, like, seeing you in front of me here. Like I can't even imagine that version of you that didn't feel like she belonged. Unreal.
always, yes, it was really tough. And what I didn't know, what I wish I did know then, or what I know now, is confidence is a skill. Confidence is a skill that can be nurtured, that can be acquired, that
Absolutely.
needs to be acquired. I mean, if you want to go to the next level, it's not something that you just sit down and it just, oh my gosh, I'm confident. No, it's strategy. Like you have to strategize your system to facilitate your confidence. And why is that so important? Because you make more money, you feel better, you're healthier, you set more boundaries, your mental, like so many things play a part in your confidence. It's part of your self love, it's
And I
your core.
I love this because it's not just about telling yourself you're confident or pretending to be confident. Don't get me wrong. On the days where you're not feeling so confident, sometimes a little faking it can go a long way. Don't get like, yeah, we've all done it. And it's amazing
Yes,
how your brain can kind of shift. Like if you smile, you can actually feel happier. But
yes.
that's not the entire formula because you can't rely on that every single day. So you have to ensure that you are doing things that actually make you feel confident. And again, a big part of that comes from how we're presenting ourselves. And it's not about, again, do you have the most expensive looking outfit? Do you have the flashiest hair in the room? It's just about what makes you feel good, what makes you feel authentic and real and like yourself.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I think for me, I went into this thing chasing beauty. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I could just feel, I just look good. And then I quickly realized from the conversations with my clients that, oh, no, 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 they need more than that. I'm like, okay, they buy the hair from me, then what? Right.
Right.
So I was kind of pushed into, as I was on my journey of self discovery, I brought my audience with me because and not on purpose, just as I was learning about confidence and mindset and self love, I'm like, I have to share this. So they would come to get hair on my page and they'll get a whole sermon.
Little extra bonus that you didn't pay for. Here you go.
We started a series called Advice That You Did Not Ask For, but you're gonna hear it anyways because you're here. That was
I
how it was
love
started.
that.
And it was a fun, I need to bring it back. I did it for a while and she was like a nosy aunt that just gave you advice, unsolicited advice.
Yeah.
And I would just say the craziest thing, like, don't date him if he doesn't have good credit, kind of, just like go
Yeah.
off on things. But that was just how I was able. And then as I was doing that, I started connecting with my audience on a whole nother level that I didn't even plan on doing. So this has been a wild, fun, amazing journey.
It sounds like it. Okay, so let's go back to this. You created this wig yourself and you're rocking it. And again, like, and as you said, like it's a DIY type of thing. It's not necessarily passing for top luxury brand
Nope,
like you are now.
nope.
But how did you, so you asked your boyfriend at the time, who's now your husband, for $500. And so what did you do with that $500 then?
That's a good question. With the $500, I got samples of hair. I
Okay.
looked for vendors online, literally on Google, and I had like I think 3 or 4 vendors that I was looking at. I didn't know who they were. They were online, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna buy a bundle of hair, which is like sort of like a good grip of
Like a
hair.
good ponytail. Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe 3 ounces. So I bought a bundle of hair, yeah, like a tail, and I bought them from 3 of the different vendors. And then I'm like, well, what am I gonna do with this? I think I just bought the hair, and then I went on YouTube to test how do you know hair is good quality. And I
Mm.
watched all these videos of them like crazy tests that you do. So I did those tests, and one of them passed my test, and I decided to start working with them. But I still didn't have the money, so I took that one bundle and I texted all my friends. I'm like, hey guys, you guys all buy bundles all the time and you buy hair extensions. What if I told you I'm going to start a hair extensions business and I give you 50% discount? And I asked them, how much are you spending now? Okay, I'll give you for half of that. I just wanted them to try my hair. And a lot of them gave it a try and they gave me the thumbs up. And I just kept telling them to refer people to me. And that's how it kind of grew really slowly at the time.
Wow. So you're actually, physically creating extensions and are you actually like installing them into your
No,
friends?
just selling the
Okay.
extensions for them to
Just the
take to their
extensions.
stylist. Because remember, I don't know nothing about hair. I
Right.
was, I was like, no, But and the funny thing, they a few of them laughed in my face, but I told them that I love this so much. I sent pictures of myself with the hair because with 2 bundles you can have an install. 2 bundles allows you to have a full head of extensions with 2 bundles. So I was able. I think I got 3 bundles actually. So I took pictures and I sent it to my friends, and a lot of them couldn't resist the discount, so they gave it a try.
And you know what? As much as we talk about this on the show all the time, don't sell yourself short. Don't discount. Know your worth. All these things. But let's be real for a second. When you're growing your business, when you're proving concept, like you're in proof of concept mode at that point, when you're proving concept, you got to do whatever you can do to get your foot in the door. And there is a reason why you go to events and they're giving out free samples of things, because sometimes we literally just need to get things into the right people's hands. Now, of course, we can't do that with a $20,000 service, or like I can't say like, oh, I'm going to give you a new roof for free if you can just, give me a cool Yelp review or something. Like it's
Yes.
not, there are limitations obviously to this, but there are ways that if we can get creative, that we can get our product out there, start getting those testimonials, start building up that brand, so that brand proof, so to speak, and capitalize off of that. But the key is that you've got to be able to capitalize off it. If you're just giving discounts for random sake of giving discounts, like you're not just trying to help your friends out at that stage. At that stage that you want to build a business. Am I right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I think for me, what really helped me was I just when I was 22, I came from commission sales. So I was working for my amazing the owner of the company. He had like 40 shoe stores throughout the U.S. I was the youngest female manager, and I was managing a $4 million store because I was a beast on the sales floor. So I know how to sell. This was a different product, but sales was not new to me. I was just a really, really good salesperson. So I remember when he hired me to be the store manager of the New York store, he goes, Jane, I know you have no experience. And quite frankly, I am scared, but I know deep down that you're the best one for the job. I just don't let me down. I was like, oh my God, why would you tell me that? But anyways, he set me up. He goes, I was like, we're a $4 million store, and my budget to schmooze concierge in New York was $100. I was like, Gary, how am I? He goes, I know one thing about you, Jane. You can figure it out. So he was very cheap. Okay, I love him, but he was
Yeah.
very cheap. But what that did for me, it allowed me to work from a small place and come up with great results. So I would go to these concierge, like knock on the door, say, hey guys, I need you to come to my store. We're gonna have a few hors d'oeuvres, and I'm gonna give you a discount, just to test it out. But I need you to recommend us to your guests. So I would come up with these cool events and all this stuff in my store, and it worked out so good. Now there were years when we did 3 million, some years 4 million, but overall we were the most successful store in the entire chain. So if whoever's listening to this, and if you're working for someone else, I'm so glad that I took time to learn from that environment and take from it, because you just don't know what you're going to use on your next journey. So
Oh,
working, you
absolutely.
know what I mean? Working for someone else is
Yeah.
not always all bad, because that allowed me to start my business on the side. I did my business working for that company for 6 months, both jobs, until I felt comfortable leaving.
Yes. Yes. And I mean, I had a whole other career before I became an entrepreneur. I continue to draw things from the
Yes.
different jobs that I had, the different employers that I had. And I was so fortunate for those lessons. And even like, if you're like, well, I had a really terrible boss, it was a really crappy job. I guarantee you, you learned a whole heck of a lot of things, even if it's here's what not to do. But
Exactly.
what I really want to dig into that you were just talking about, though, is going back to the budget thing. So we're going to tap into that a little bit more about that shoestring budget, once again, that you're dealing with, that $100 that he's giving you. And we're going to tap into that a little bit more after we take this quick break. We'll be right back after this quick message. Kaivari helps interior designers at every stage build a strong strategic support network, giving them ongoing clarity, trusted guidance, and access to the right people at the right time. Unlike directories or online groups, Kaivari uses a personalized matching process, combining detailed data, a deep dive clarity call, and a thoughtful review process to connect members with vetted coaches, trusted service providers, and aligned peer communities. With exclusive monthly education, targeted small group support, and annual rematching sessions, Kaivari becomes your affordable, evergreen layer of strategic guidance until you're ready to confidently hire deeper support. If you're ready to stop guessing and start making smarter business decisions with the right network behind you, visit kaivari.com to learn more. That's KAIVARI.com, and use promo code CoachFriend, that's KOACHFRIEND, to save. And welcome back to the Real Women, Real Business podcast. All right, welcome back to the Real Women, Real Business podcast, where I'm speaking with Jane Harris. And she's been telling us about how she started this multi-million-dollar wig company off of $500. And I mean, obviously, it's more than just a wig company at this point, but this is kind of how she was starting out. And one thing that we're talking about, though, is just stretching the dollar. And I think as you grow, it's really easy to spend money without really paying attention to how you're spending the money. And I've often said this to my clients, if you had to go back to day one in your business where you had like next to no money, you've got to be really careful where you're spending it. If you only had like $100, how would you spend it? And it's amazing how creative we can get about things. And if I have one more client tell me, well, I'm just gonna throw $100 at doing like some Facebook ads and see how that does. And don't get me wrong, like I had a guest on a couple months ago all about meta ads, and she's phenomenal, gave some really great tips. And meta ads definitely do work for certain industries, for certain companies in a certain way. But she's also the first one to say, if you've only got $100 to spend, this is not where to spend it because you're not going to get your ROI on it. Whereas if I took that $100 and I identified, say, the top 4 companies that I really want to get business from, and I created a special custom type of, I don't want to use the word gift, but it's kind of a gift, usually like some sort of something I'm going to put in their hands that is going to tell them they want to work with me. And I'm going to spend $25 on each one of these. And I'm going to send it to just 4 companies, but I'm going to make sure that it's going to hit home. I'm going to spend more time on the messaging for those 4 gifts than I'm ever going to spend on an ad that's going to go up for a couple of seconds that people are going to scroll past.
Exactly. I love that you said that because I've been in business 15 years. And I will say, of the 15 years we've been in business, we've probably relied on ads for a year. And I love when people talk about ads and I share them on, but ads cannot be your only strategy.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. And they can have value. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying
yes.
don't do ads. I'm saying that if that is your only strategy, exactly.
It
No.
can't be your only strategy. I mean, I started, with organic and just like doing the work and the cold calling or the sending emails, going in your phone list. I mean, those things still work. I mean, we went through a time where ads were a problem. I mean, that
Yes.
it was a problem, and now it's getting back to normal. I feel like now when I talk to some of my students, when I coach people, I'm like, do a sprinkle here, a sprinkle there, and then add organic content with it. Do a few cold calls. You have to do all of the things because you don't know what's gonna. I feel like all of the things add up to a successful business. But I know a lot of my students that came to me, they were like, "Oh, we'll just do ads." I'm like, "What happened to you just organically figuring it
Yeah.
out to test the market a little bit? You don't have to depend on ads 100%."
Oh yeah, like I work with clients where they'll say, "Well, I created this lead magnet and then I created like this email sales funnel for it. And then I also did this ad for a little while and then I've been doing a lot of things on social media and I've been doing tons of reels on social and I'm making sure I post a story every day." They're telling me all these things. I'm like, cool. So, who have you contacted directly? Like, did you email someone? Did
Thank
they
you.
pick up the phone? Did you go to a networking thing in person? Like,
Thank
who did you
you.
have a conversation with? Well, no one. I'm like, wow. Don't get me wrong. I do all the lead gen stuff. I shouldn't say I do all of it. I do very intentional lead generation, and some of it is coming in from social media. I mean, like, let's face it, this podcast, hello, lead gen. Like, you know, yes, that's not the entire purpose of it, but it is a welcome side effect of having this podcast. But if this was all I was relying on to get my message out there to meet people, no one's actually hiring me. I got to tell you, the number of actual calls that I book from the podcast are pretty slim, but they might find me on the podcast and they find me somewhere else. And then we're at an event together and we're connecting. And it's connection that people are looking for.
Exactly. I totally agree. And the podcast is confirmation of the
Yes.
connection because then they will look you up. Because I watched like 3 of your videos. I was like, oh, I know what she's about. She's kind of my kind of girl. So it's
Right.
what it is. It's a social proof of what you are and what you're about. So even if it doesn't lead to a sale, it also confirms what you've done and your accomplishments. So yeah, I totally agree with
Yeah.
you on that.
And sometimes you need some no's in order to get some yeses too. So it's just practice at getting some of those no's.
Absolutely.
Now, so we're talking about this shoestring budget. At the same time, you've built a luxury brand. So, in order to position yourself in that premium way, like how did you go about doing that? How did you earn the trust? Like, this is a whole, just what we're talking about here is like you've got to earn trust to be able to be premium for people to pay you real money for things they've got to really trust in what you're offering. How did you work to build that trust?
So I did it in two ways. The first way I did it was by default. I was working at the shoe store making 120,000 a year. So my head, I'm like, okay, I know my dollar worth. I know what I'm worth per hour. If I'm gonna leave this job, this is what I need to make. So for me, it was just there was no question because I knew I could sell. So I'm like, okay, understanding what you're worth per hour is important, what you need to feel accomplished in whatever business you're in. So for me, that meant only sourcing the best hair because I'm not going to sell cheap hair. I will only source the best because I'm going to charge money for people who want the best because I was making 120 a year. So
Yeah.
I'm used to a certain level, I'm used to a certain money in my bank. So that was the beginning for me. The only problem was everyone was looking at my prices like, who does she? I literally had a client. She was like, you just started your business 3 months ago. Like, who do you think you are charging these? I literally had someone tell me that. And I remember saying, you know what? That's right. Allow me to introduce myself to you. You don't know me. My name is Jane Harris. I have worked at this shoe store, $4 million shoe store for about 13. Like I literally brought my experience that I didn't at the time I didn't realize that it was relevant to hair, but what it did for people, it taught them that I'm not the one to mess with. Like I know my stuff. Even if I didn't do hair, I have done all this other stuff. So
Yeah.
that gave me some kind of credibility in terms of, oh, she's a boss. Oh, I like her. People don't care about the product. They care about you. I tapped into the me because I had nothing else. I didn't go to hair school. I was like, this is it for me, honey. We're going to make this work. I said, maybe they know about my past. And then I started talking about what I did at the shoe store, how I was such a good manager, how I was a good salesperson. These were conversations that led them to buy hair.
Right.
Which is the craziest thing. So I think being transparent and being open about your experiences in life, regardless of what you are selling. I don't care if you're a doctor selling, I don't know, community, or maybe you're an influencer. It doesn't matter what you're selling. It's never about what you're selling. It's about building trust. And one way to build trust is by letting people into who they're about to pay. Because when they like you, they will buy water from you. They'll buy snow. They'll buy a pencil. It doesn't matter.
I love that you said that. Like, what I want to talk a little bit further about, though, is just how you're talking about the value of your worth. But what you were just saying there, I actually did a social media post, I think it was last year, because I was driving behind a manure truck one day. And I had this thought to me, I'm like, I have clients who are struggling to sell their worth, struggling to sell whatever product or service it is that they're selling. And here someone was like, I'm going to sell poop. Like, so someone one day was like, I am going to monetize the literal crap that comes out of these animals. And they made a whole business out of it. And it is a massive business.
It
And I
is.
have no desire to work on a manure farm by any means, but like it is big business. And so you got to believe in what it is that you're selling and believe in the value of it.
Yes.
But what I love that you said, though, is the fact that you're like, I was already making this much money. So like that's setting a bar right there. Why is it that so many people assume when we go into entrepreneurship that we have to pay our dues, be broke for a while? And don't get me wrong, like, yes, sometimes we're working those two jobs and the business isn't exactly paying for itself yet. But why are we starting from this? I don't have much experience. I'm not worth that much. When, like you said, we're drawing on other experience. Like you might not have spent a lot of time in that area, but where have you spent a lot of time? I mean, like I know I have jumped headfirst into numerous things over the years that at the time that I was jumping, I felt completely inadequate and unqualified to be doing. But let me tell you, I drew on all the strength that I could. I would have little talks with myself like, well, you did this, you did this, you did this, you can do this. And it's amazing what ends up happening when you can have those little inner dialogues with yourself. Like I was actually just talking with a friend of this earlier this week. We were talking about how talking about your future self and how one of the things I've started doing, for example, for my future self is when I get back from my runs in the morning, the first thing I always do is I take off my shirt because it's sweaty and I get cold really quickly because of all that. So I take off the shirt. But what I do when I take it off is I turn it inside out. And so what I've started doing is fixing it so it's the right side so that future me, when she does laundry and she's putting those clothes away,
I don't have to turn every one of my shirts back to the right way. I'm doing them one at a time, right? And I'm saying,
Nice.
if I could treat my future self as though she's an actual person that I care about, because I'm pretty sure she is,
Yes.
imagine what she can do. And the same goes for how we speak to ourselves. If we ever listen to your own inner dialogue sometimes, like, would you ever say that to someone you care about? Would you even say that to a stranger?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
that, how are we speaking to ourselves that way? So we start having the inner dialogue instead. We can be our own hype girl, right?
I agree. You're
Yes.
speaking my language. I agree. I mean, the truth. I mean, you said some great things about picturing your future self. I think you have an amazing mindset around it. And that's why you can start something tomorrow that you have no clue about and you'll be successful at it because you already believe that you
Right.
are successful. Just because I don't know much about this doesn't mean I don't know much at all. I know much. And then you said something pretty powerful about the inner dialogue. A lot of people don't even know that exists. Like telling yourself how strong you are, the things that you've already accomplished, that boosts your self-confidence. Like you're like, wait a minute, I did that. I did that. You go, girl, to yourself
Yes.
in the mirror is
Yes.
powerful.
Yes. And I mean, and you're talking about earlier, you mentioned how you had so many naysayers. And I think so many of us as entrepreneurs run up against this. Like, listen, the people in your life who love you, they want you to be successful. And what they want to do is prevent you from making crazy mistakes that are going to send you into absolute bankruptcy or make you upset or miserable. Like they want to protect you. This is what we do for the people that we care about is we want to protect them. But thank goodness you didn't listen to them. And sometimes, you know what? I'm going to be real. I have taken some jumps in my life that didn't always pan out for me. But,
Same.
you know, and maybe I should have listened to all those naysayers, but I feel like the naysayers are there regardless of whether or not it's a good idea. Do you think Jeff Bezos was listening to the naysayers who are like, this
Thank you.
Amazon thing, I don't think is really going to be a big deal. When he's
Thank
in his garage packing boxes, probably not,
you.
Like we've got to start believing in ourselves, taking those leaps and not being afraid at what the outcome's going to be, but just believing that we can do it and pivoting as we need to. So I love this. I mean, and I would imagine you've probably made some decisions along the way as well that maybe looked a little risky
Oh my
for
God. I mean, just quitting my job. I think after I had shown success within 6 months, it was quitting the job. I remember telling my family, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a lot. I can't do both anymore. I need to be able to run my business that's growing. I see a lot of potential. My dad was like, okay, it was cute when you did this thing, do that, but now you're acting crazy. I need you to
Mhm.
calm down. You've had this job for 13 years. Don't get over yourself. I remember my manager, the owner of the company, his son came to visit, because they visit the stores just to check. And he was like, Jane, I hear that you're just putting your notice to leave us. I gave him a month's notice because, till this day, we're just really good friends.
So much respect for that. I
Yeah,
recommend everyone, if you can, giving
yes,
a month's
a
notice.
month notice because I wanted to train the
Yes.
new manager. There was a lot of things going on at that store, and so I gave him. And till this day, they're just really good friends of mine. I gave him a month's
Amazing.
notice, and he came to visit. He goes, Jane, I had to come see you eyeball to eyeball before you leave. What if this fails? And I remember thinking, you know what? That's a really good question. I was like, even if it fails, I will figure it out.
Yeah.
And I said that I was shaking in my boots when I answered that because I really didn't know. And
Yeah.
there were times years later, I would say within 5 years, when the business kind of changed, I would dream of going back to the shoe store and working in the shoe because I just have good memory of just working. This is when, and I told my husband, I'm like, sales need to pick up because I started dreaming of when I went back to the shoe store.
We've all had those dreams. I come from a hospitality background, and I'd have those dreams where I'm working at the restaurant and I'm in the weeds and trying to make all the martinis, and I just can't possibly move fast enough. And like, yeah, I know something is going on in my own business and it's rare that I have those dreams now. That was 15 years ago, but every once in a while, though, yeah, those dreams pop up. I'm like, oh, that's trying to tell me something.
Yes, it's your subconscious. Like it's
Yes.
and then I'm like, what is the doubt that I feel? I need to eradicate that doubt,
Yes.
because the truth truth is, as an entrepreneur, you're going to have good years, bad years. That's just what it is. But you try your best to build that resilience so you can be creative, so you can pivot. And I love what you said about starting on a shoestring. You know, in the beginning, I learned how to be conservative. And then I got a little excited within 3 years, and things were like, this influencer mentioned our brand and we blew up. Like everyone wanted to wear our hair extensions. We had done my yearly salary in 30 days. I was like,
Oh my
oh
gosh.
my God, what is this? This is gonna come forever. You know, I just excited. And I started, I didn't manage my money properly.
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't
you're
even
making
know.
it rain. Yeah.
I didn't know how. I was like, what? I was like, this is a lot of money. Maybe we can spend here, spend there. And I think I remember my husband saying, Jane, we have a money problem now. We have to figure out our money issues. And I remember someone asking at some conference, like, how do you feel about your finances? Do you feel like it's organized, or do you feel like you're just falling by the wayside? And I was like, oh my God, honey, that's me. I feel like I'm just falling with the wind, you
Yes.
know? So my husband was like, we got to figure this out. So we researched books that could help us, because we're really into reading and just, self-improvement and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So we found this book called Profit First by
Mike
Mike.
McAllowitz. Oh,
When
yep.
I tell you that book saved my business. We read the book, and in the book, it has recommendations for they're coaches, but they're accounting CPAs that kind of work with you on, putting those processes into place. Honey, it's been 7 years? I have never looked back. My life got better. My money got better. Regardless of what the economy wants to do, I shrink when it shrinks. I expand everything is done the right way. My taxes are put away before, tax time. Like, it is the most, for anyone listening who is an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter how small you are, implement Profit First system. It is the most amazing system. It just makes sense. It makes you profitable even in a very, very unstable economy. It has saved my business and my life. So I just have to say that.
Well, and what I love about you saying that though too is that so many people think of the profit first strategy when they're building, when they're growing, when money's tight, and how it helps them to, because profit first can help you to manage that money so that you can grow it. But you're talking about like it's raining money on you. And it kind of goes back to the old saying, like, more money, more problems, right? Like, just
Literally.
so many people think, well, if I just make more money, all these issues go away. But no, they're just compounded. So you're saying like you've got all this money, but now what do you do with all of it? So it doesn't matter how much money you're making. And we just had a conversation. We just had Zara on our show a couple of weeks ago, and she was talking all about the three different things that we need to be paying attention to in our finances. And she really broke it down in a nice and easy, digestible way. But we got to be paying more attention to our money. And one of the things that we should be doing every single day is looking at our money.
Oh my gosh, stop it. Are you reading my to-do list? Every single day. It's
Every
on
day.
my board.
Same.
Just look, you'll be surprised what it does for your mental when you look at your bank account. You're spending differently. You're catching things that, like, wait a minute, who was this person that we drew this? Like, it is such an amazing discipline to have. Well said.
You've got to look at your money every day.
Yes.
Even when, don't get me wrong, there are days where I've looked at my money, I'm like, oh, that hurt a little bit. But
Yes.
to your point, I was like, okay, well, what do I need to tighten here? Like you shift in the moment, you shift in real time. And I have a setup where I have actually a spreadsheet that I created myself that I use that's forward looking. So I can see based on the revenue that I know for sure is coming in, how much money I have from month to month and when I'm going to start seeing a deficit. So I can see like, okay, great, I've got the next 3 months covered, but that's when things start to dip down. But if I start creeping up, and like I'm bridging that gap between like where I see that deficit and there isn't enough money coming in. Okay, well, what can I scale back at this time? And what can I, like, you can react in real time. But if you wait until you're in crisis mode, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I've made my fair share of money mistakes. I am definitely more of a do it as I say, not as I do sometimes, because I've definitely made my fair share of money mistakes and spending mistakes, but I can identify them and I've learned so much from those mistakes, which is why I do the things that I do now. Yeah. So, okay. So I want to get back to the business. So are you still making wigs yourself?
Yes.
Personally?
But I do it personal. Now that's a good question. I have a team now. Hey,
amazing.
I have a team because
amazing.
after years of not, like, in the beginning, I didn't know how to make wigs, but then I got really obsessed, and then I got really good because I taught myself how to make wigs, and I became the only one making all the wigs. And then I had a baby. She's now 15, but at the time she was like 2 years old. I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this by myself anymore. So I hired other wig makers, trained them, and now I have a team of I think about 6 wig makers that help me. And I do some of the
Amazing.
work sometimes, but I have a team and we all work together. So yeah.
Amazing. And okay, so I do want to touch on something you just mentioned though, about being a mom, and you homeschooled your daughter as well, while
Yes.
running a company,
Yes.
while being a wife as well.
Yes.
Like you've got a lot of things. I mean, am I missing anything? I mean, I'm sure you've got other commitments, other personal commitments. Like, I
Yeah.
think that's the other thing that is just such a misconception sometimes, is that you have to sacrifice all of these things in order to be successful. So what is your secret to that success? How did you manage to, is it balance? Is it boundaries? Is it systems? Is it all of the above? Like, what allowed you to be able to do what you've done and grown the business the way that you have and sustain it that way without, like, I mean, you have the fact that you have time to come on my show is, like,
Exactly. So,
how
I
have you
mean,
done this?
I will say this. You forgot that I'm a second-degree black belt.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, my bad. Clearly, yes. Let's talk about that. I mean, my goodness.
Second-degree black belt, baby. No. Um, I think for me, my husband is a strong believer of living your best life. Like, he was the type that people, he loved to hang out. He was a New York chef, so he just loved to hang out, stay out late. And when we got married, people were like, "Oh, chef, I guess you're gonna take me down." He goes, "Never." And I think he kept his word with that. So I think going into the relationship with him is always like, Jane, how can we keep having fun? So I think just putting that as being with someone who, if you're married, with someone who understands that this doesn't have to be the end of you, and it is all of the above. Having systems. I read the book 4 Hour Work Week a long time ago.
Oh yeah, Tim
That
Ferriss. Yeah.
book, it is an encyclopedia. If any entrepreneur, if you have not read that book, it taught me. I'm like, oh wait, I can hire someone for this, someone for this, and pay them this. Oh my goodness. So I was introduced to virtual assistants very early, which really allowed me to scale without that heavy or hefty payroll bill. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then also, I am huge on scheduling. Like, for example, with the black belt situation, my husband was supposed to be the one with the black belt. He's like, okay, just come watch me train. And I'm like, okay, I'll just watch you train for support. Next thing you know, I'm a black belt because we pay him every month and he makes us show up. And if we don't show up, we have to pay the price. So knowing that I am not a workout girly, I will make excuses not to do it. I have already spoken to him to not allow me to make excuses. Just like you
Perfect.
would a trainer. Like,
Yes.
the things that are important to you, making sure they're on the schedule. Just like that meeting with Bob about the new supplies, dance class with Joanne at 3 o'clock needs to be on that same list, and you can't cancel it.
Oh
So
yeah.
prioritizing the things that mean a lot to you and understanding that it allows you to run the business even better because your mental health is in the right place. That's how, it just helps. And in terms of homeschooling, for me, when I found virtual assistants and I started opening up to what they could do for me, not just from a business perspective, because that's the obvious, I brought them into my life from a personal perspective. I'm like, I want you to manage me. I want you to remind me of my dentist appointment. I want you to remind me to have lunch with my girlfriend every 3 weeks because I never call her first. She calls me first and I feel bad. I want you to
Right.
help me send flowers to my sister every third week because, the littlest things that when it happens and I get those thank yous that make me feel good, I put them on her table. And when this girl started managing my life, her name is Loella, and my life, I started, like, I would walk around like this, like,
Yeah.
so happy because I knew my life was taken care of. And then I saw that, I'm like, wait a minute, I have all this free time. I said, we're gonna homeschool now. And then we started homeschooling. So understanding that you can't do it yourself, prioritizing yourself, and getting the right people in place that's affordable to help you.
I love this because what are the things that only Jane can do? Well, only Jane can go out and get the black belt. Like, only Jane can do her own workouts. Only Jane can eat her own food. Only Jane can spend quality time with her kids. Like, as a mom, there's certain things that literally you are the only person who can do it. but we get ourselves so caught up in our head that there's so many other things that only we can do. And I mean, I've talked about it already on this podcast, and I've talked about on most podcasts. Anyone who's listened to a couple of episodes knows I am an avid runner. This is a part of my life, minimum 5 times a week, usually closer to 6 times. When I travel, like I will go to weddings, and at the end of the night, we're all going to bed, and it was like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it to breakfast. Like I'm pretty tired. I'm going to sleep in, all this stuff. And they'll look at me like, oh, like, what about you? Like, what time are you getting up? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to be up at like 6 o'clock because I'm going to go for a run first. Like, that's like, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm not sacrificing it to the point where like when my mom plans her trips, if she needs me to take her to the airport, she schedules her flight at a time that doesn't disrupt my run. So when people are saying to me, well, I don't have time to run, I run at 5 a.m. My alarm goes off at 4:15 a.m. every morning, regardless of what time my run is at. Sometimes my run's at 5, sometimes it's at 6. The alarm goes off at the same time because otherwise I need to get things done before or after the run. But my priorities stay the same. I'm not shifting my schedule on a daily basis. And so I go to bed at the same time every night. Like these are things that I have chosen to prioritize for me. I understand that may not be everyone's schedule. What I'm saying though is find what works for you, but stop with the excuses of I don't have time for this. There are plenty of things that I think I should be doing that I'm not doing. And I'd like to say like, oh, I don't have time for that. No, that's not actually the truth. I have not prioritized it to make the time for it.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Well said. Yes. Yes. No more excuses.
No excuses. No excuses. Okay, so we could probably talk for hours, but I do feel like we got to start closing off this episode a little bit here because people need to be able to go out and start implementing all the things that we're talking about. So why don't you give me kind of your top 3 like instant confidence tips, whether it's specifically for people who are wearing wigs or just in general? Like, what are your top 3? Like, you want confidence today before you leave the house? Here are the 3 things you're going to do.
Oh my gosh. My number 1 confidence tip is stop breaking promises to yourself because no one's really holding you accountable. Like you tell yourself you're going to work out, you don't. You tell yourself you're going to stop being in that toxic environment via chat or whatever the case may be, you're still there. As they ask you to lunch and you still go because you don't want to be, mean or whatever. It's stop breaking those promises that you make to yourself. Even if no one sees it, your subconscious calls you a fraud.
Yes.
But when you step into a room, you're like, you know what? I'm a woman of my word. And your subconscious is like, no, you're not. And you just lied yesterday. You know what I mean? So stop breaking those promises to yourself. I think the number 2 thing is find a routine. You literally just said it. Find a routine. You wake up in the morning. For me, the first thing I want to do is say my prayer and lay my bed. Like my bed needs to be laid. I need to look at it and go, oh, it looks so neat. That makes me happy, and I think number 3 is move. I love movement. I dance, I do martial arts, and I work out. Whenever, of course, but naturally happy juice gets released when you work out.
Yes.
But it's also a great way to say thank you to yourself. It's a way to say, this is my time. This is my selfish time. That's why you run, because it makes you feel good. So those 3 things really boost my confidence every single day.
And they're so simple.
They're so simple.
They're so simple. And to your point, like they're going to look a little different for each person.
Yeah.
You got to figure out, and I like that you kept them, generic enough, specific enough, while also being generic enough that like anyone can apply this to however this looks for you. I mean, I always say if anyone who said you can't stop time was not a runner, because like legit, when I am running, time just doesn't even exist. That is my sugar high. That is my dopamine. That is my drug. Go find your drug.
Yes, exactly. Well said. I love that.
I mean, I try not to do an actual drug.
You're going to make me want to run now. I'm going to run.
Oh my gosh. I can turn anyone into a runner. I can talk about it all day. Okay. So you also have a free challenge, the Wear Your Wig Better challenge. Who's this for? What are they going to walk away with? What does this look like? Oh my gosh.
I do it every month and it's free because I want everyone to come in and I want people to learn, because a lot of times in the industry, people wear the wig, but it doesn't look good. They don't know how to wear it. They have no clue. So I teach how to wear your wig better. And then in the class, of course, I give them an injection of confidence. So they don't know it, but at the end of the class, I teach them, I say, okay, well, now that you have the wig, then what? Then I talk about mindset and self-confidence and all that good stuff. So it's a great class for anyone who's thinking about wearing a wig or just wants to feel better about themselves. So it's a feel-good class. I love it.
Amazing. And I'd be willing to bet there's some people listening to this episode who either are already wearing wigs and definitely want to be wearing them better. But I'm sure there's probably someone listening to this episode as well who's saying, a wig might be the answer to my problems. I'm tired of fighting with my hair. I'm tired of not feeling like myself. And so they can also get a wig on your website. They can use the code THEREAL, THEREAL at checkout, and you're going to give them a special offer. So the website is thevirginhairfantasy.com. We will, of course, make sure that all these things are in the show notes. But that's incredibly generous of you. And I so appreciate everything that you've been sharing today. If we're going to leave people with just one takeaway from today's episode, if there's just one thing that they're going to go out and implement after listening to this today, what do you hope that one thing is?
I hope they know that you're one chapter away from your best self. Because
I love that.
the woman I am today, it was okay. I knew I had a problem, but I found the book and I read the book and I implemented. So you're just one chapter away from the best version of yourself. And it was because of a book. I'm even on this podcast. I read that you just have to find audiences that facilitate what you're doing and spread the word. And here I am. I sent you an email and here I am. So you're one chapter away from the best version of yourself. And I want to thank you for having me. This has been so amazing.
Oh, Jane, this has been my honor and my pleasure, truly. Thank you for everything that you've shared today. And I think that so many people, if you're listening to this, who do you need to contact? Who has your audience? How are you going to get in touch with them? Get real with them, reach out to them. Don't just try to sit behind the computer screen hoping that they're going to find you. Go out and find them.
Exactly.
So thank you. So listen, if you're listening to this podcast, of course, and what we're saying here today is resonating with you, I truly hope that you will continue to join us each and every week. We drop new episodes every Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern time. And please allow us to continue to be a part of your incredible journey. Don't forget to leave us a review and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. Jane, I so appreciate you. Thank you
I appreciate
so much for coming on.
Thank you. You just got me wanting to run. I gotta go get
Amazing.
my outfit.
One more converted, just a few more to go. Thank you so much. And
Thank
until
you.
next time, everyone, keep thriving.